Welcome to Optimal Health Weekly with your host, Steve Adams. This podcast is for highly driven professionals, CEOs, and entrepreneurs who know health is the first wealth. Join us each week for a mix of expert interviews and solo episodes on health topics relevant to your busy life. Let's elevate your health together.
Hello, this is Steve Adams. I'm the founder of Tiger Medical Institute, and this week in the Optimal Health Podcast, we're going to talk about executive sleep optimization. I want you to know I'm really excited about this topic because wherever I go in the country, I run into people 40 plus who are leading companies or organizations, and universally, they're struggling with their sleep. And so I want to share a little bit about my story first, and then I'm going to give you 3 pillars that will help you rebuild your sleep. 2 of them, you're going to be able to do quite a bit on your own. One of them, you're going to need some help from an outside party. And then, I'll give you a path to take the next steps. So, if you have big vision and you want to drive that vision, it is really hard to do if you are coming from a depleted state each morning. And that was my story. I, with some really great partners and team, was able to scale a retail organization into multiple states, multiple markets. But in the last 3 or 4 years, especially, I would wake up every day exhausted. And I don't quite know how I got there, probably from 100 nights of travel a year for many years. But, I quit taking care of myself, quit working out. I was just, as I got tired, I would do less of the things that would help me, right? So what I found myself is in the last several years, I was getting just a couple of hours a night of sleep. I'd be in bed 6, 7 hours, but I would not get the actual sleep. So when I woke up in the morning, I wasn't rested. And I remember going to bed in the evenings, especially those last couple of years, stressed out because I knew it was going to be another night of struggle, of tossing and turning, of getting up and going to another room and sitting in a recliner. And if any of you've done that, that sleep isn't very good. And it just was this downward cycle. Ultimately, I lost the energy that I needed to actually have good judgment, to have good interpersonal relationships with my family and my partners. I wasn't getting things done. It was taking longer and longer. I was having to work harder and harder to get the same things done that I had gotten done years ago with effortlessly. And so, the thing I want you to ask is, does this sound familiar? Do you find that you're lacking emotional control, that you feel anxious a lot, especially when you go to bed? Do you feel depleted and exhausted? And if those things are true, then the real relevant question that I want to ask next is, can you change this? Well, I have a good answer for you. The resounding answer is yes, you can absolutely change your narrative. And I know for some of you, you may believe that that is simply not possible after all these years of struggling, but let me tell you it is. And it really is going to be, now what I'll tell you is you didn't get there in a year or two, okay? You got there over a decade or more. And you're not going to fix this in 2 weeks. Okay. There's no pill that you can take that is going to have an enduring, sustainable solution to your sleep disturbances. And a note on that, if you're taking a prescription sleep pill like Ambien or something like that, those things have some serious downsides that you do not want to be reliant upon them. You don't want to be reliant upon alcohol. You don't want to be reliant upon other things that really don't serve you well in the long run. So let's talk about pillar number 1. Get your nervous system working for you rather than against you. Okay, that's a famous quote by one of America's first psychologists that for the life of me has escaped, William James, yes. That's his quote. And there's two things we want to deal with here. One is we want to manage your stress response, which is part of something called the autonomic nervous system. And then we also want to work on your circadian rhythm, which is the daily cycle that happens every day. When you wake up in the morning, you have high cortisol and low melatonin. And then those switch as the day goes on, and your cortisol levels drop and your melatonin builds, and then something called sleep pressure builds, and you should naturally be sleepy and fall asleep well and stay asleep all night. The problem is people have messed up that rhythm with the way they eat and with blue light from devices and the lighting in their homes and the lack of routine. And so, so in this first bucket, this first category, the first thing you can do is you want to start something called diaphragmatic breathing in the morning and in the evening. And, I'm going to give you a really good resource. Just go to YouTube, look up diaphragmatic breathing, and look for a video by UCLA. That's the one we like the best. And what it means is you hold your stomach to your belly, to your diaphragm, and you breathe in through your nose initially for 2.5 to 3 seconds, because it takes a while to get in the rhythm and build balance, build the routine and strengthen your diaphragm and get used to doing this. So you'll breathe in through your nose, pushing out your diaphragm, and then at the top, hold it for half a second, and then breathe out through your mouth with pursed lips so that you control the flow of your breath and pull that diaphragmatic back in. So breathe in for 2 to 3, let's say breathe in for 3 seconds, hold it, and then breathe out for 6 seconds. And it's in that elongated exhale that you are going to activate your parasympathetic, your recovery side of your autonomic nervous system. You're going to activate your vagal nerve, and that's going to pull you out of stress response that many of us are in chronically because of our lifestyle. I don't have time to go into all of it. Some of my prior podcasts talk about it in my HRV and de-stressing podcast. So you want that 3, 6, and then eventually when you get comfortable, you can go in 4 seconds through the nose, hold it a half a second, and then out 6 seconds through the mouth. Okay. And remember that elongated exhale is what's pulling you out of stress and putting you into recovery. And what I'd like you to start doing is do that for 5 minutes in the morning, first thing when you wake up, and then do 5 minutes at night before you go to bed, or while you're watching television or reading or something in the evening to prepare yourself for sleep. Okay. Um, so that's one thing. Now let's talk about the circadian rhythm. Um, so what we can do to aid your circadian rhythm is a couple of things. We can manage light and we can manage the timing of when you eat. Okay. So what we want to do is in the evening, what I would do is go on Amazon and buy what's called blue blocker glasses. They're 20 to 30 bucks, and they filter out the blue light while you're watching television or looking at your devices. Okay. So wear those in the evening, the last hour before you go to bed. You don't have to do this forever. I don't use them anymore. I don't need to. I've got my circadian rhythm so dialed in, I don't need it. So I also don't look at my computer and my phone the last hour before I go to bed either, but that's for another day. Uh, so, and then in the morning, if you really want to get after this, on Amazon, it's a Philips has a product. It's a blue light therapy device, and I wish I had more time to explain this in the podcast, but it's a light therapy device by Philips, and you can use that for 15 to 20 minutes in the morning before 9 a.m. when you're reading the paper or a book or something, or just having breakfast in the morning before you leave. This is really important for people in the northern hemisphere where, I grew up in Michigan. I know what this is like. I live in Texas now, but where it's dark for a long time in the morning, or you get 5 months of clouds. This type of light will actually enhance your mood plus help you kickstart your circadian rhythm in the morning, and then the blue blocker glasses at night will cut down on the blue light and help that melatonin production. Okay. And so the other thing that you can do for your circadian rhythm that's really helpful is after you have your dinner, you ideally you want to have a 3-hour fast before you go to bed. Okay. And all of the clients at Tiger Medical do this. And what this does is it sets you up for a good night's sleep. Eating late is probably one of the worst habits you can have, because at night before you go to bed, at that time of the day, your body has the lowest ability to manage and regulate blood sugars. And then also, if you eat, your body has to digest instead of doing the repair work in your brain and with your muscles and tissues. And so you're actually hurting your body's ability to do the work that it needs to be doing at night when you're sleeping. So when you're sleeping, your body's not resting, it's working. Okay. So by having that 3-hour fast, along with the breath work before you go to bed, along with managing light by having the blue light glasses on, you're going to notice that you are really ready to go to bed. And it's going to enable you to fall asleep very quickly. And then the other thing is you'll tend to stay asleep longer. Okay. Now, what we see with our practice is a lot of people will get to sleep well and then wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. That's kind of stage 2 of the process. Okay. But what you can do is don't toss and turn. Get up and go to another room and get in a separate bed or get in a recliner, something where you can really relax and do breath work for 5 to 10 minutes to try to help you get back to sleep. And if you're a spiritual person, pray, because usually what happens is when we wake up in the middle of the night, we're ruminating about a mistake we made in the past or about something coming up. And you got to bring yourself into the now, and then your body will relax. And what happens is when you're ruminating or anticipating something and worrying about it, your body doesn't know the difference between that and real stress. So you kick your body up into a heightened state, and that's why you can't fall asleep. So we need to stop that. So if you do that breath work and you count, worry and counting are in the same part of your brain. You can't worry if you're counting. So breathe, okay? And you'll fall back to sleep. So that's enough on pillar number 1, getting your nervous system working for you rather than against you by de-stressing and managing your circadian rhythm. All right, number 2, now what we want to do is we want to establish a pattern that your body can recognize. And what I mean by that is that 90% of the time, 6 days out of 7, 29 or 28 out of 30, okay, I want you to wake up at the same time every day, even on Saturday and Sunday, and then go to bed at the same time every night. And what I'll tell you is if you want a great social life and run around and do stuff, you can't do this. If you want to sleep better, you need to do this. You can't have both. Okay. So just make the choice. So, for me, I'm in bed every single night at 9:30 and I wake up at 5 a.m. And I'm so used to that. I don't even need an alarm clock. I wake up. And the reason I can get away with that is that's only 7.5 hours, is that I have optimized my sleep so much that I have a 88 to 90% sleep efficiency. So I'm getting nearly 7 hours of actual sleep every night. And 6.5 hours is kind of the number or better, what we want to have of time asleep, not time in bed. We want to be in bed for 7 to 8 hours. And I will tell you, if you're trying to recover your sleep and your sleep efficiency is low, you're going to want to be in bed 8.5 hours, 9 hours, so you can get the sleep you need initially. And then as you optimize, you can work that back. So as you do this now, and as you breathe every night, and as you manage light, and as you fast for 3 hours, you're going to see that you're starting to synergize and it's getting better. Now, the other thing you can do, you can get over-the-counter natural sleep aids. Okay. Lots of them out there. Try the one that works best for you. And then this leads into the third pillar, optimize your physiology. This is where you need help, okay? You need to work with a proactive root cause medicine practitioner like Tiger Medical. We do this. We can do all of this for you, actually, and we can shorten the curve on it if you want. But, one of the things that helped me was I got genetic testing, and I realized that I was predisposed to high sleep disturbances. And so we were able to look at what supplements would have the biggest impact on my sleep and make sure I got that in a blend. And that was transformational for me. The other thing is that you do in this type of a program is you identify other imbalances like blood sugar regulation problems, cardiovascular markers, hypertension markers. Perhaps you're carrying a heavy toxin burden or your microbiome is out of balance. All of those things, if you can identify with some precision what needs to be worked on, and you understand what the root cause, and then you start making lifestyle changes that address those root cause factors, what can happen is your sleep can go to a whole new level as you start to optimize your overall health. And that's such an exciting revelation that I learned that can be true of any of you as well. And so one last thing I would say, it's not really a pillar, would be get some kind of a wearable device that it objectifies your sleep every night so that you have data. I believe in the Oura Ring. Our clients wear the Oura Ring, but there are others. There's more than one device. You just need to know how long you were asleep, what was your actual sleep time versus time in bed, what's your sleep efficiency, your resting heart rate, your respiration rate, your oxygen saturation levels. Those are all things we get with the Oura Ring that you can start to see when you make certain choices that it wrecks your sleep. So I know if I eat later than I should, it shows up in my sleep. My heart rate elevates, my HRV drops, and my sleep efficiency all drop. The worst thing I can eat is popcorn. Okay. I love it, but when I have it, I wreck my sleep that night. So if I have it, I'm just making the choice, to suffer. The really cool thing with these pillars is that when you begin to synergize them, your sleep will improve. And this is going to take time. I'll tell you, if you're in your 50s and you've been sleeping bad for a long time or older, it's going to take 18 months to 2 years to do this. So just be prepared. So in closing in this version of the podcast, I just want to tell you, do something about this. Start taking steps today. If you want to learn about Tiger Medical and how it can help you, go to Tiger MI, like Michigan, tigermi.com. And on that, you'll see a website. You can dig around in our learning center, our podcast episodes. You can take a blood test. That's our optimal health assessment. And that kind of starts your journey. You can, get some blood markers. You can meet with one of our professionals, and then we can guide you into our very affordable concierge medicine program that's 100% virtual. So wherever you are in the US, we can work with you on this and be your consultant, your guide, and help you achieve the goals that you have with your health and really with your productivity and your career and your family. So thank you. Go to tigermi.com, and I hope this was helpful. Thank you. Steve Adams here from Tiger Medical Institute, talking about the True Health Assessment. What if you could safeguard not just your health, but the well-being of your entire family? With the True Health Assessment from Tiger Medical, you can. Our comprehensive blood screening identifies hidden risks before they become major issues. Our elite team of Mayo Clinic trained and naturopathic physicians then create a customized plan to optimize your health for years to come. When you prioritize your wellness, you ensure you can be fully present for the people you love most. Don't let preventable issues cut that time short. For less than the cost of a daily latte, you can gain peace of mind and a clear path to sustained vitality. Protect your future and your family's future with True Health Assessment from Tiger Medical at thetruehealthassessment.com. Again, that's at thetruehealthassessment.com.